sanctuary.
Council meeting is now back in session. We had a motion and a second for ordinance number 14-2019. We had a person in the audience wanting to come up. Your name and address, please.
I thought this event actually occurred.
Name and address, please.
Houston F. Hall, 820 West Pleasant Street, Avon Park citizen.
Thank you.
Now, just a few months ago, like 3 months or so, there was an individual around here, had a very nice, relatively brand new Ford pickup. Not customized, stock, but easily, my point is, to recognize. Black with the chrome features. And they had mounted for their operational horn on the vehicle an air horn. And I'm talking about an air horn that was over and above the standard semi-truck air horn. They were cruising around town, utilizing that air horn to cause panic or fright on individuals. Playing cute. It was a younger individual. I don't know the age. As I witnessed this happen on West Pleasant, the second and sometimes most busiest street in Avon Park because of the northern thoroughfare. This individual I witnessed at least 6 or 7 times utilize that air horn, mostly, obviously, to frighten, for ha-has, derelicts, no offense to anyone, street people, and especially those individuals that seem to be impaired, giving no consideration to individuals that may be wearing hearing devices. So I call 911. I don't do that often. And I expressed this concern with description of the vehicle and had waited until I had the tag number. He wasn't frequently using West Pleasant, but it being the busy street and shortcut that it is to the 27th Avenue, Walmart and everything else, he trafficked through there, or began trafficking through there somewhat commonly. Now here's what happened. As I call 911 and immediately advise them it's not an emergency, get me on offline or whatever, and express this concern, of course, dispatch expressed they would have a deputy call me and be patient. Patience is my virtue. So in or thereabouts, some reasonable amount of time, 20, 30 minutes or so, I didn't watch the clock, a deputy called me. I expressed to him, as he began to say, so Mr. Hall, dispatch has told me from 911 that you have a problem that has to do with a vehicle and a loud horn. And I told him, just as I just expressed to you, and I gave him the tag number. His name was Deputy Ablin. How phonetically proper for what he expressed. Abling someone. Here's what he said to me. I'm going to tell you right now, I am not about to waste my time in pursuing someone riding around blowing their horn. Well, needless to say, the next morning at shift time, which is 6 o'clock, I called the sheriff's department and I talked to the sergeant, over the road deputies. I told him the same story. Now, that situation seemed to get rectified because I've not witnessed any more except within a few weeks. I didn't write it down. I logged some things just to have the pertinent information as this was occurring. But I didn't trouble myself with it. This individual showed up. I happened to be out there caring for the palms that I have out front. And as he was coming up, headed west, and saw me out there around those palms, he sat on that air horn, and he did it prematurely. Someone had taught him and advised him. It was obvious of who had reported. Well, as I was caring for them, and as he came on, I had in my hand an object like a gardening shovel, just a small one, and I went like I was going to throw it right in his face through the windshield, but I held it, and he cruised on by. He had a little passenger with him. In just about some 7 minutes or so, I had ventured from the palms on back up into my driveway near my eave, my carport, and had picked up a regular spray nozzle garden hose, beginning to also water my flowers in my yard. He came back by now, headed back east from 27, and east to a stop, looking right up my driveway. Intimidated me. I just tilted my spray gun up, not spraying it, and just pointed it right at him like that. And he proceeded to go on. We've not had any incident since. I thought I would tell this story for the necessity when individuals like this come along with no consideration of harm. I had seen him use that horn at Florida Avenue crossing, right there just below my house, when an elderly woman crossed there in a white vehicle, automobile, E-Class sedan, and him being on down near the bottom toward 27, half a block away, and sat on that air horn. She did run that stop sign. She wasn't driving very rapidly anyway, but he felt the need to sat on that horn and frighten her, and he did frighten her. She almost hit the mailbox at the second house down Florida Avenue. Just an example. There is a necessity for an ordinance of this sort, for from time to time, there are crisis concerns that can happen.
Yep.
There you go.
Thank you. All right, so we have a motion and a second.
I got some questions. You do know that I can't cut my grass after 9 o'clock at night with this.
That's right. I didn't figure that'd be a problem for you.
Can't see no
A lot of
way.
them tractors got lights on
You
them
can't
now.
make political signs hammering away either.
But you know, with the time change and all, sometimes right at 9 o'clock, it's still a little dust dark. I know that
Yep.
Ranford Ruiz mowed his lot in front of me for years and years and years, for 10, 11, or 12 o'clock at night with a case mower that had headlights on, a little bitty driver tractor. And that lady that's got it now, she does the same thing.
Well, if you're not irritating your neighbors, they won't.
No,
Won't
ain't
be a
bothering
problem.
nobody.
All right, ordinance number 14-2019. We have a motion and a second. Is there any further questions? Seeing none, we'll call the roll.
Councilmember Gray,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Spurlock,
Yes.
Councilmember Sutherland,
Yes.
Councilmember Bernard,
Yes.
Mayor Anderson.
Yes.
Motion passed unanimous.
Thank you. Ordinance 15-2019.
It's an ordinance to amend the city code, section 2-33 of the city code, increasing council pay and allowing participation by councilors in city insurance program, providing for conflicts and severability, providing for inclusion in the code, and an effective date. Second reading.
Okay. We have an ordinance. We need a motion.
Motion to approve ordinance 15-2019.
Do we have a second?
Second.
This is the second reading, so we'll have a public hearing. Public hearing for ordinance 15-2019 is now open. Anyone wishing to speak can do so now. Don't all jump at once. Seeing none, the public hearing is now closed. Is there any questions relating to ordinance 15-2019? Seeing none, we'll call the roll.
Councilmember Gray,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Spurlock,
Yes.
Councilmember Sutherland,
Yes.
Councilmember Bernard,
No.
Mayor Anderson.
No.
Motion passed 3-2.
Thank you. All right, item number 27, regular update from city manager.
Okay, I got a couple things. The fence for the basketball goal is done. It's 15 feet wide by 12 feet high. The goalposts will go in the middle of the fence section, and lighting will be added. Robert has had his crew up putting up decorations, Christmas decorations, so he said to put staff on sanitation trucks, so he's short-handed, but he'll get it finished up as soon as he can. What's the recycling? Oh, yes, we had a resident come in. He's a winter resident, and he's upset because they're not allowed to recycle over in the community that he lives in. So he just wanted me to make sure that I let council know that he thinks that they should be able to recycle.
Okay.
So, the Boys and Girls Club ribbon cutting is Friday, December 13th. You have a flyer in your binder. It's from 4:30 to 6.
Yep.
Okay.
They're having chantilly cake, by the way. It's the one with strawberries and custard.
Okay.
Okay.
What'd you say?
I don't like custard.
They're having good cake.
Oh,
The champagne cake.
The chantilly, yeah, it's custard and strawberries.
Susie talked with Dave Cornett regarding the rock climbing walls and pads. He's checking out a link that Susie sent him. The cost would be $4,210.83, including shipping, and there is $4,900 left from the insurance check, so it would be able to be covered. But he's going to get back with her on that. I just wanted to give council a heads up that on December 20th at the fire department, some of the bays will be open, and they will have tables set up. There will be volunteers there wrapping gifts for Toys for Tots. So if anybody goes by and wonders what's going on, that's what's going on there.
Okay.
I have talked to the city attorney and the labor attorney about this. I have received information from a candidate for the city manager that wanted to provide extra information for his application. And he wanted me to send it to council and to the Citizens Committee. And I was going to do that first thing this morning, but then I thought maybe I better check it out. So there's different ideas about how that can be handled. One of them is we can contact everyone and let them do that if that's what you want, or we can, you can handle it during the interview process.
Right.
So,
I just advise that, if you're gonna do it for one,
Yeah.
that you would have to do it for everybody, just at least notify them that they have the right to supplement their information, or you can handle it at the interviews. Because you can't just simply tell one person, oh yeah, go ahead and send us some more
Yeah.
stuff, because you had a closing date on the applications, and,
Right.
it's not like bids, but it's, similar to the extent that you can't, once stuff's submitted, you should have an endpoint, and if you have a reopening, everybody should have that same right to reopen.
yeah, and so I didn't want to step beyond the bounds of that. So it's up to council how you want to handle that. Do you want us to contact everyone and give them that option, or do you want to handle that like during the interviews? If somebody has more information to provide, that's when you would get it, or?
I'd say during the interviews.
Yeah, me too.
Me too.
Okay. Okay, thank you for that.
I would just simply say, make sure that everybody knows when you tell them when the interviews are occurring, if they have additional information, they like documentation, they want to bring it, and go ahead and bring it
Okay.
with them.
Okay. Okay, and
Let me ask you a question, though. I sat at the committee meeting, and they said, the list of the committee is public record. Can a candidate just go ahead and call the committee and tell them, hey, I've got this? Because, we're talking about the city council saying no, but what about the committee members? Could they be saying yes to
I
it?
say the same thing.
Yeah.
So they need to be notified, but what if the person calls them and said, I want to talk to you about something I didn't provide you?
Well, I think it would be inappropriate, because I think you have some point of closing, and to try and lobby people on the side to take additional information, or to
Then they have
perhaps
to be
curry
notified,
favor or
then the
whatever.
committee needs to be notified as well.
I agree with that.
But
Yeah,
could the committee
yeah.
not on their own go call the individual people?
They could.
They could.
If they wish.
Right.
If that's what you want, let them do. I mean, to what extent are you having them interview?
They actually don't have the phone numbers to call anybody.
That's good.
But you can Google anyone, and they even,
Yeah.
if they end up calling them, and they can.
Well, is that something you want them to do?
I don't
No.
I don't object to them doing it. I mean, they may want to question something that they have concerns in with an application.
Well, I hear a yes and I hear a no.
I say no. That's mine.
Well,
I'm
That's what
okay with
thinking.
the committee and the council contacting whomever they wish.
I am too.
I think it's a little bit inappropriate for the candidate themselves to contact the boards, but
If it's initiated by council or the
Exactly.
committee, that's fine.
if somebody calls them and says they want more information, email or whatever, that's fine.
I agree with that.
I mean, that's the whole point, is for them to find out about that person and any questions they have to get them answered before they decide.
When's their next meeting?
We haven't said it yet. That leads me to a question, though. Are we having a meeting on the 23rd?
So,
So
my
what?
opinion is that we will not have a meeting on the 23rd unless there is something that is unavoidable that we absolutely need to get done.
Well, we tried to cram everything into this one.
I agree. I agree. So there will be no, what about the advisory boards or any of them? I mean, they already had their meeting for December.
I don't think there's anybody else set up for a
Okay.
meeting this month. CRA Advisory did theirs Tuesday.
What
And-
about the city manager committee, though? Weren't they going to meet again?
Yeah, but I thought that we would do that because I thought it'd probably be kind of hard to get people together. So we thought that we would do that the first week of January so
Okay.
that they can get together before council meets again.
I don't see a problem with that. Very good.
Okay, and two more things. Mr. Hall, at the November 13th meeting, handed out some paperwork that he wanted responses back from council and myself with 4 questions on it, of which I don't have a clue.
Yep.
What they're about an injury that he had at the airport in July.
Okay.
And he had been giving paperwork to David Flowers, but
Okay.
Who did this?
Mr. Hall,
Yeah, please.
Oh,
Do we have any response?
Lengthy documentation. It's lengthy.
Yep.
I
Okay.
tracked it very carefully. I turned
So
it in very carefully.
This is
It was
Mr.
carried out
Houston
just
Floyd
as I
Hall.
have expressed it. Houston F. Hall, 820 West Pleasant, A1 Park citizen.
Okay. You are seeking responses to the documentation you provided to the council.
Now, in hearing Ms. Gay, as it's been 4 or 5 meetings back, as there was the transition of David as city manager and her becoming interim manager, in that gap way, I heard her express to the council that her and her staff were heavily preoccupied with working their way through literally hundreds of boxes of old paperwork and files. It's understood. And I heard her express that her intent was, in modern practice, to take the city paperless. Hence, I felt an importance to establish this email address that we have emailed my transcriptionist, who handles this and handles my emails now, as of the date specified. I thought I would cover that back door out, if you will, rabbit out of the hat, whatever how you want to put it. Now, you can take that as over scrutinizing if you want to, but you just ought to hear the astounding series of events for 10.5 years. And those events, the primary reason, I was at the airport that day and found the desk unstaffed. And I had an injury trying to get to an ink pen over that high counter.
Well,
Look, I'm not a litigious person.
Time out just a
With
minute. Did you
heavy
say something
heart.
about 10.5 years ago? What did you say? I
No,
didn't
no.
get that.
That is all in the paperwork
Yeah,
that
it's
was
July.
given each of you.
Yeah, but I didn't know anything about that, so I didn't.
Well, Stanley,
carry
it
it
would
any
be
further.
understood. Some might say that's history. Some might say, well, due to the standard 2-year limitations. Let me tell you something right now. A court can toll the time clock on statute of limitations especially when reciprocity has not been practiced at all.
Were we given this document?
Let's have a response from our city attorney, please.
But,
There
Mr.
is-
Hall, I'll just simply say that, we'll look into your questions here, and then if it hasn't been filed, we'll file it with the information we have, or we'll get additional
I
information we
would
need.
appreciate that, sir.
Okay, so we'll
And
just
now,
simply say, let's
here's
go
the
ahead
deal.
and do that, and then let the insurance company deal with it, and they'll
Yes, I
contact
know,
you.
I know it would thank you, sir. I do understand the proper processes and the limitations by which the council can function in mitigating. I understand very completely. You have insurance lawyers to handle that.
Right.
So apparently, without Ms. Gay having any reference to this, and David Flowers, I'm telling you, he should have a thorough file on this with other elements of reason why, whereabouts, and when, how this occurred, and absolutely why. I've kept this alive through the years, and I'll tell you something else. There's malfeasance at the court level. I have made approaches even to the court, and I'll mention the name here. Judge Anthony Rittenauer carried out a slip-up with Bill Ellis, the state's attorney, conjunctifying by his own statement in a hearing in open court, announcing, as I only use the terms enumerated properties I am still absent of, and Bill Ellis jumped on it. I had a motion in function to request co-agendizing and conjunctifying, and Bill Ellis conjunctified it right then with legal merit. Now I'm going to stop there. Anthony Rittenauer said, no, not in my courtroom. As I mentioned, you're in violation of my constitutional rights.
That
My
has to
point
do-
being in telling this story, I'm not trying to belittle anyone and the possibilities of malfeasance. But if you don't think this can't happen to anyone from a complete false report of the evening as this began, and the old APPD that was being shattered apart, made unwarranted home invasion on my home with me standing in the threshold and taking me off of it,
Yep.
and did not carry out due diligence to do so. The names I have mentioned are explicative in the material, the yellow copy.
Yep.
As tonight, we go blue. I have a copy for each of the councilmen,
Well, can I
sir
get the yellow
attorney,
one, 'cause I never
consultant
got
for the
it.
council people. I do not have a copy for you. I have other copies, but I submit to the protocol that you are a legal consultant on contract to our council people, and they will, in consultation with you, I assume, proper
Right.
process.
I'll just
handle
ask the
these
clerk to
affairs.
send me a copy, how about that? That's good.
Yep.
I just wanted to apologize for me not having one for you with
Okay.
courtesy, complete courtesy, knowing that with the council's advisement to you and seeking your consultation to them, it would be handled, and it's not for me to address or interfere in any way with your practices.
All right, thank you.
Very good.
I will deliver these individually to you, and tonight I brought an extra copy where I
Yep.
did not have one.
If you will, just hand them to Kim.
All of them?
Yeah, please.
Okay, I have 6 copies entirely. One for her.
Very good.
5 for you, and I'll throw in an extra if the council should need it.
All
Very,
right, she'll send me a copy.
Well,
very
they
good.
are.
Houston, does this cover your sign-up sheet as well?
That's what he signed up for, I
Yes,
believe.
Okay.
don't know how better to explain it.
Okay, so you're
Continuous verification.
okay. All right.
You mentioned in the standard legal time window of 15 to 14 days, we know we have.
Right.
The dates are specific, we will pass that.
Okay. Thank you.
I do not want to sue my city. I'll tell you right now, when you start going into 10.5 years.
All right.
and,
All right, Houston. We're gonna have to have you go back to the microphone again if you want to keep talking.
If the opportunity should present itself for me to find legal counsel, for it's very difficult these days in a day and age of modernization and the pressure put on frivolous lawsuits by our state legislature and
Yeah.
even limitations on it. I understand all of it. I've been run through it. I've been run through the meeting.
Thank you, Houston.
This thing could possibly, just reasonably, possibly snowball into hundreds of thousands of dollars on a complete abatement of my civil liberties and rights and constitutional issues.
Okay, Houston, thank you.
This is real.
Appreciate it. Kim, do you have anything further in your update?
Yes. First of all, I would like to set the record straight that I did not say that I was going to take this city paperless. I said that where I was, we had gone paperless.
Okay.
But anyway, so one other thing. I just wanted to ask council, request the authority to take disciplinary action with an employee if necessary. I'm not saying that there's anyone right offhand, but there's been a couple of things that have come up that could lead to that at some point, and I just want to know if I have the authority to do anything with that or if it needs to come to council.
I would say absolutely if it's, germane
Yeah, I
to the
don't-
running of the city.
We are not allowed to get in the middle of HR issues, so
right.
as Mr. Koji along holding your hand,
Right, and
then,
as long as I go
Do what you
through.
gotta do.
Document,
Mr.
yep.
I was gonna say,
Yep.
just talk to Mr. Koji
Yeah.
about it and,
Document everything. Yep.
Yeah, I definitely would not do it without Mr.
Yep.
Koji, so,
Very good.
Yeah.
okay. Thank you. And then we have, you have Mr. Davis still, and I'm done. Thank you.
Arnold Davis. Last but not least. This is Arnold Davis, 1214 Carolina Avenue.
South Carolina Avenue,
All
Avon Park, Florida. And I'm here, I should have had my paperwork in for the first meeting. But I'm here for Martin Luther King. And I wanted to see if I could get some help from the city this year. And I wanted to also see if the city would take Martin Luther King over and make it a city's event. after
Okay,
this
so
year.
to be clear exactly what you're requesting here tonight, we've got, what,
$690.
$690?
Yeah,
Okay, we got like road closures and stuff like that as well, or?
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
With the advertisement, I throwed it out because it's just entirely too much. He wanted $500 for advertisement, so I just say we'll just forget that. People know about it anyway.
Didn't we have a meeting about this probably a couple months ago?
We
We were
didn't have a
talking-
meeting about it,
Yeah.
specifically, but we had a meeting about it. We talked about events in the meetings.
Uh-huh.
And we have some money for the Martin Luther King event.
Yeah, we had set aside some money for organizations, for events and stuff, and some of it was saved particularly for this event.
You know
Right.
how much?
It was
Um,
10,000 altogether,
I
right?
think it was 2,000.
Okay, but I mean,
No,
Pot.
for Martin Luther King.
okay, no, I meant the pot, the global pot, and this
The
would
global
end
pot
the
was
pot.
10,000, but
Okay.
we've used 2,000 for
Other thing I think
advertising.
It was
Yeah.
$2,000 left for Martin Luther King.
Right,
That
and we
was
had the
Correct.
money, we have the
Correct.
money for the 4th of July and Martin Luther King, there was 2,000 for Martin Luther King.
Okay. So do you have the information that you need for us to make this motion? With the road closure and everything?
I believe so, do we have everything?
We don't do it, they don't do a road closure.
Not
They don't do a
they
road
just-
closure.
Okay.
Yes, it's on the field.
So you're requesting the use of the field and $650? $690? Anything else?
$690.
Anything else?
They took the ice machine out of the place, right?
I don't
Did they
know.
take the ice machine out? of
Trying
the-
to
From
think.
from the concession stand?
Yes,
I
think
don't
it
know.
was. I don't know, but they have done so much down
Have you
there.
checked with Dave Cornett? He's got the keys and everything to all of that. I'm
No.
surprised that the ice machine's not in there, but
no.
I don't know, to be honest with you. I thought the city didn't rent ice machines anymore,
I
and
thought
that
they-
Avon Park Football had theirs in there. And they were told to take it out. That's what it was, so maybe that's why it's
I
not
thought the
there.
city owned that.
I think Avon Park Football owns it, and they took it out. They were told,
Check with Dave Cornett,
Yeah.
Boys and Girls Club.
Okay.
So if it's not an ice machine there, would it be all right for some of the guys that work for the city to get us some ice from the different places? Would it be all right if the workers did that?
I mean, I think it'd probably be better if we just gave you money to buy the ice rather than.
I agree, because you're looking at people doing overtime, comp
Okay.
time, and all
Right.
that stuff,
Okay.
and it just gets, and then
Nope.
every organization wants
Yeah.
ice.
Okay,
Yeah.
no problem, no problem.
Okay, so is there any motions?
Yeah, before you do a motion, I'd like to ask the council, could this day, for January the 20th, could that day be set aside for events for Martin Luther King? Because I noticed in the past, people wanted to do things on that day. And, you know, and a lot of people really, you know, fought for it to be named Martin Luther King.
What exactly do you mean,
you know,
setting it
could
aside?
that day be reserved for Martin Luther King events?
But it's not always on the 20th.
Yes, it's always on the 20th.
No, it's not.
It's the Thursday, right?
It's
always that.
Monday.
I'm
It's
sorry.
always on the
Third
20th.
Monday.
It's the third Monday, yeah.
But it's always the 20th.
No,
It's always the third Monday.
which changes every
Yeah.
year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In any regard, he's asking for the third Monday to be set
Right.
aside, right?
What
Yeah.
can we do that?
Yeah, I just don't know exactly what you're requesting. I mean, what has been a roadblock in the past? I mean, you wanting everybody to not be able to have events on that day anywhere else in the city?
No. If someone wanted to do something in the honor of Martin Luther King at the field on that day, if they put in time, I mean, you know,
Yeah.
other events, like one guy wanted to do a football game while we was doing Martin Luther King.
Yeah, I
Well,
mean, as long as
why
they
don't-
meet all the requirements, we've
Yeah.
never denied in the
Just
past.
reserve
I mean,
it for next year. I
Right.
mean, we can reserve it now and reserve it 2 years from now and all that. That way it's
Okay.
pretty much,
Yeah, that's always
yours.
been the issue, is just get your stuff in early.
yeah, because it's on a first come, first served basis. So
Right.
if you know you're gonna do the event for all these
Okay.
future years.
Okay.
Right.
Now, I don't know about next year, cause,
Well, next year is in a month.
because. Well,
Touche. Touche.
That's what you're asking us for next year, right?
yeah,
That's right.
for the next person.
Okay. So does $750 sound like a more reasonable sum with the
Is
Yeah.
that
possibility of
all?
ice?
Well, he needs ice. He's gonna get ice. He's got 600 for the all you have are 3 bounce houses?
Yes, that's all.
So, I mean, in insurance, you're covered with your insurance for that day as well?
The bounce house guy let us use his during that day.
But the event, isn't it supposed to have also event insurance?
No, we've been going on the cities with the field.
No, that's what, we see, everything has changed now.
Right.
So the organization that's putting on, the nonprofit organization that's putting on the event has to have event insurance.
We've been doing it all these years.
No, I'm saying it changed since this council been up here.
Yeah, and in the past, I think the CRA sponsored it, and it was a different
Right.
story. CRA doesn't do it anymore.
Well, that's why I'm saying it need to be turned over to somebody that can.
Is there anyone else in your organization that can do it? Because, I mean, we don't have event planners to coordinate and do all these things. We don't do any events.
That's what I'm saying. There needs to be a core group of people that want to have the event, that want to take care of all these things, or else don't have the event. I mean,
The
that's
event
how it works.
Coordinator can't get all the money either.
Didn't Annie Feeney volunteer to help you?
Who that?
Annie Feeney, didn't she volunteer to help you last year? I remember her saying, call me next year.
I think
meaning
she
now.
did, yeah.
I remember that conversation.
Yeah, I talked with her about that.
I've got her
but that
cell
was
number.
that was just,
Talk.
yeah.
I think she would help you. I mean,
So if we have to have event insurance, because we require all of them to, maybe the Boys and Girls Club could partner with you, but if you can find someone that would sponsor the event, I mean, I know you're part of an organization that's nonprofit. And I don't know what event insurance costs these days, but, you know, I would not object to the city providing you the funding to do this, because it is a special day. And then just allow $1,000 for the entire event. That would cover ice, it would cover insurance, it'll cover the trophies and the bounce houses, and you don't have to spend it all.
I talk with someone at, what's the date? I
Boy-
talk with someone at Boys and Girls Club tomorrow.
Dave Cornett, he's,
Okay.
yeah.
That's the phone number and name I gave you earlier today.
You gave me Dave?
I did.
Because most of your attendees will be Boys and Girls Club kids. A lot of your attendees will be those kids,
Yeah.
so.
Mhm.
Yeah, because you're also asking for Avon Park Police Department and Fire Department.
No, we don't, all we just need them to do is just,
We don't,
but
We don't have a.
We don't
Avon
have a
Park
police
department.
department.
I done
Well,
told him
well,
so.
He meant
Well,
sheriff.
it would have to be
we
sheriff,
know
yeah.
we don't have one, we just saying ask them would they patrol the area a little regular.
Who?
They
Okay.
patrol, the sheriff's department.
Sheriff,
Yeah,
okay.
But
okay.
nevertheless, we got young men out there that keep everything straight anyway.
You all wear your shirts and stuff, that everyone wears the same color, everyone, you know, like your security?
Well, we not getting shirts this year.
Okay.
We wearing them down.
Does anyone care to make a motion?
Well, let me ask you, so you're gonna have to buy your own ice unless there's an ice machine there, unless someone can bring an ice machine there. So I would think, you know, about $150 is good for ice. You just have to bring a bunch of coolers.
It's more than enough, yeah.
It might be a little more.
No, I'd say that's more than enough for us.
Yeah, so if there's sufficient funding in there, and I know that in previous years you've requested a lot more than this. Mr. Davis, would $1,000 cover it? Because we have funding for that, but, you know, don't go over that, but it doesn't mean
I won't.
spend it all. But you'd have to get those estimates to staff before you spend the money. I understand the ice would be one thing, but if the insurance, liability coverage, naming the city as additional insured, if you can't get that from the Boys and Girls Club, you're gonna have to come get it from somewhere else. And if you can do it from your own organization, I don't know what a daily rate is for that, but it would come out of the same money.
Okay,
I think you'll have enough.
okay.
I think you'll have enough.
Anyone care to make a motion?
I'll make a motion that we approve $1,000 towards the expenditures to exclude food items,
No food.
except for ice, for the MLK event
And the use of the park.
and the use of the park, of course.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. Further questions? Seeing none, we'll call the roll.
Councilmember Gray,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Spurlock,
Yes.
Councilmember Sutherland,
Yes.
Councilmember Bernard,
Yes.
Mayor Anderson,
Yes.
motion passed unanimous.
Thank you, Arnold.
Go to Big T. He's got a ton of ice. Tell Terry that Maria sent you.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, he donates ice all the time.
there-
Okay. I graduated with Virgin.
There you go.
Is there anything
Mr.
else?
Davis, if you would, I still
I
need
only
you to
had one
come
thing.
up to City Hall and fill out an event
Okay,
form.
I got to talk with you anyway.
Okay.
I
Okay.
need to get a form from you.
Maria, what you got?
Kim, the one meeting that I didn't attend, I believe it was October the 28th. I looked at the minutes, at section D9, the step pay plan on the union issue. Apparently you had an employee that had been here for 7 years and had topped out.
13 years she's been
Okay.
here, yeah.
I just know this. In prior years, the union only had a 7-year step plan, but what city council did, years when this was redone, the union plan done, they took those 7 years and spread it to 15. So even though they may have topped out at 7 years, they would have topped out at 15. So in other words, they got their money ahead of schedule. They got it 7 years in advance.
Okay.
You follow?
Uh-huh.
But if the union, because this is a union negotiated pay plan, they would have to come back to the city and renegotiate the pay structure and the pay plan. But the city manager can give raises based off of performance. So, you know, a lot of employees that have exceeded their pay plan, I'm sure Mr. Koji would agree, is that you can give a raise to an individual, it's just as long as they pass muster in regards to their performance evaluation.
Okay.
You know,
Thank you.
and then when we renegotiate the union, which by the way, it's been expired now for like 4 years. So I don't even know if it's even feasible to even be negotiating a pay plan when the contract's expired for 4 years.
Well, they have a new contract they're trying to propose.
Can you speak up? Cause
I'm sorry, they have a new contract that they're trying to propose, and I'm actually meeting with, Hector Ramos
Yeah,
from AFSCME,
AFSCME.
yeah, on the 18th, if Brian Koji can meet with us, so.
well, I'm of the opinion that if our employee handbook was better than the union handbook, we wouldn't need a union. You know, if we stuck to the whole point of doing evaluations and really stuck to that and gave performance evaluations, people would actually be making more money. The union, to me, defies that. You get a raise no matter what.
Yeah.
But, you know, just for me, I'm not willing to give another step raise just because. To me, that's what a COLA is for. It's either one or the other.
Yep.
But that's just my opinion.
Okay. Anything else?
No.
Barry?
My name is Barry Foster. Can you hear me?
Yes.
My name is Barry Foster. I'm the news director at the Highlands Radio Group. I had hoped that you were going to ask for citizens' comment during your discussion about code enforcement, but fortunately I don't inconvenience anybody but you now. You might consider what you did with the sheriff's office, which is summon the high sheriff to explain what he did for the city. You've heard testimony tonight that your building official has not been responsive to citizens' complaints. In fact, you have citizens who will be here. I would, if I were you, suggest you summon the building official to come and appear before this council and ask why he is not responsive to citizen complaints. Thank you.
Good point.
Merry
Thank
Christmas.
you.
Thank you.
Very good point.
Yeah, that also hurts on property taxes too, if it's not permitted.
Sure, fire assessment, the whole nine
Yeah,
yards.
the
there
county and the city.
Is there anything else for the good of the city? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Seeing no opposition, we are adjourned.
So does a tablespoon of honey, which has an antimicrobial for the lungs, and a shot of whiskey with a little bit of lemon juice. They know that. It's in your letter. Don't worry about it. See ya. Sure. Call Annie. Call Terry. Call Annie. Who else does he need to call?
But I'm just saying.
Oh, you don't know?
That's when he.
Oh,
You can go talk to Maria.
Yeah. Okay.
All over the city, he has done this. And when everything quiets down, that's when he moves. Listen, they've had the best party you've ever seen in your life. Here's the way I have it.
Now, if it were MLK for veterans, it would be a different story. Oh my God. You know what? I put my tree up and I feel like I ran a 5K. From bending and squatting and bending, my legs are killing me. Oh, I know. I haven't put on my running shoes in